There's currently a battle between NHS Scotland bosses and the SNP politicians who are losing support as the bosses are considering to get Scottish people to pay to use the NHS. This is hilarious. It's not the first time this has happened. It's not the first time someone's leaked something like this. And I think my theory is they're testing the waters. So on the one hand, the actual NHS Scotland come and brief the journalists saying, yes, we're going to be considering to charge patients. And then 10 minutes later, they send the SNP politician to deny it. And then they send a bureaucrat from actual Scottish government to say, well, let's ignore both of them. We will just consider the consideration. Funny, right? So the BBC obviously reported the NHS bosses in Scotland are discussing having the wealthy to pay for treatment. Now, this is actually a bit of a problem because the SNP calling people wealthy is different to a normal person calling someone wealthy. And for those who don't know, in London, during the Ed Miliband's leadership of the Labour Party, Labour and the Liberal Democrats were in favour of a policy called the mansion tax. Now, mansion tax sounds like, okay, we're going to be taxing those who have mansions, very, very ultra rich. But mansion tax as a policy was also going to be hitting small houses in Hampstead and Camden. So rural areas or suburban areas in London. And some of these people might have been asset rich because they probably inherited that house, but they are cash poor. So the Scottish government, just like the Labour Party and the Lib Dems, I don't trust their judgment and assessment in terms of identifying who is wealthy and who is not wealthy. So for those who get excited saying, good, let's get the millionaires to pay. Well, that's not really going to happen. This is, by the way, the Scottish A&E performance record over the last few years, well, over the last 10 to 11 years. It's getting worse and worse, and they cannot blame anybody else considering they control their own NHS. Now, a funny thing about the wealthy paying for it, the same politicians who, and the journalists like The Guardian, who yesterday, a couple of days ago, they were attacking Rishi Sunak for having a private healthcare. On the one hand, you say it's good. We should put the burden on the wealthy, whether if they want to charge them to use the NHS or to get them to go and use private healthcare so that ordinary people could actually use it. And then they attack you if you're rich and if you're having a private healthcare. Do you want to help the NHS or not? Clearly you don't. The two-tier system is being considered by the NHS boss. It's a very detailed consideration. At the same time, SNP politicians come out to deny it. No, we haven't been talking about any of this. Yeah, can you tell that to your bureaucrats who are actually considering this? Maybe that could be a good start. Let's take a quick break and we're going to come back in half an hour. We're going to talk to you guys about the European Union. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Tousi and we are the media.